I delivered my jokes, people laughed. I'm like, okay, I hit my mark.
After like all the admin is done, you're ready to write the ceremony. At what point did you start doing that?
Public speaking and me are friends.
What was the first step that you took to get a move on, if you will, on getting certified to officiate?
Yeah, instead of saying to witness, I said to beg.
We were like whispering like, oh no, we didn't rehearse this part where he tells everybody to sit.
Yeah, so I said that the bride helped me make money. And then I met the groom like going out and partying, and I said that the groom helped me spend that money.
Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello. Welcome back to Wedding Wednesday. My name is Adriana, and today I have really a special guest, my fiancé, who's on the show today to tell you his experience of what it was like to officiate his best friend's wedding. Of course, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things before we dive in because it does help our podcast grow and we really appreciate it. With that, let's say hello to my fiancé. Hi, Antoine. How are you?
Hi, I'm back.
Yes, if you guys didn't see his episode where we talked about our engagement party drama and our proposal story and all the things,
Yeah.
we will link it in the description box below for you. I think it was episode 5. But to kick things off, I want to know, be honest, what was the hardest between doing the intro of the, like, hyping up the party when you walked in and did the ceremony entrance versus being up there and actually officiating your best friends, because you were not only officiating your best friends, but you were also part of the wedding party. So what was harder for you?
I mean, walking into the reception is easy. It's just fun.
Yeah, you're hyping everybody up.
Yeah, it was hype. So we just danced and jumped and yelled. So that was easy. Being up there, it wasn't hard per se, because I'm not a shy person. I'm comfortable talking in front of people, so that wasn't really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, this is a special moment. The bar is high,
Yeah.
and I want to deliver. Like, I want to make sure that they gave me this beautiful task, and I want to make sure that I make them proud and like give them something that's up to their expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they had expectations. I think they kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good." But I wanted it to be great, not just good.
I'm sure they had expectations. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But I think they knew when they chose you that you would deliver because you can speak pretty easily in front of a crowd. You've done that before. Not officiate per se, but like you're comfortable in front of everybody.
Yeah. Public speaking and me are friends. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're good.
Why don't we backtrack a little and you tell the audience how your friends asked you?
It was honestly a very interesting experience to be asked. And so my friend called me and he goes, "Hey, can I come over? Can I come to your place? I just want to drop something off." Okay. Like, not unusual, but not usual in the way he said it. It was like without any upfront lead up to it. It was just like, hey, picked up the phone and called me. So they show up and his fiance is with him. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. In my head, when I saw them both, I'm like, oh, he's coming to ask me to be one of his groomsmen. You know, like, we're very good friends.
Right.
He's one of...
That's what you were anticipating.
Yeah, he's one of my close friends. You know, it's like, that was the expectation. If I had to expect anything, that's what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So then we start talking, and they're kind of like beating around the bush. Like, they're talking, but they're not saying what they want to say. And they're like, by the end of it, they go, yeah, so we want to ask you something. And I'm like...
Can I say the joke I made?
Yeah.
I was like, they're going to ask you to be the flower girl.
Yeah.
And then the fiance said, close. So we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So then they asked me, and truly it felt like a special moment. It felt like something, I know them both separately, like before they knew each other, and I have a relationship with each one of them as individuals, but also we have a relationship with them as couples because they're a friend and we go out with them and so on. So it really felt like amazing to be asked such a thing. It's an important moment in anybody who's getting married to be asked that and be like, hey, I think that we think that you're gonna be a good person to do that for us, and we think that we want to make this memory with you. Felt great.
Yeah. And it was unexpected. You weren't
Yeah,
expecting
no, I never saw that coming. That was like totally out of left field.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming at all. Like,
I didn't either. Both of us, when they asked, we were like, looked at each other and we were like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
because it's such a big honor, I think, for somebody
it is 100%. They're putting a lot of responsibility on you. They're like, when I was asked, I didn't know the complexity of what it was going to be. They had done their homework somewhat. They had gone through the process of figuring out what it was going to take, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And then they put the cherry on the sundae, and then as we were like going through the motion, they're like, yeah, we want it to be a bit more in Arabic. And that I was not expecting.
Yeah, we'll get to the whole speech part.
Yeah.
But okay, so you were feeling really honored, and the first thing that came to mind was, I'm sure, anyways, you tell me, but like, was it like, I can't wait to make a speech? Or were you thinking, okay, how do we get the ball rolling? Like, what's step one here?
Oh, no, I didn't go that far.
No.
That I left up to you. No, I was like, I'm excited to figure out what our approach was going to be. I had all these ideas starting to bubble up. Like, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to do that thing, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is what we're going to segment. And that's more what I was focusing, and less I came to discover it was going to be a lot more administrative work than I expected. But it was really fun.
Yeah. So once the excitement kind of wore off a little bit, what was the first step that you took to get a move on, if you will, on getting certified to officiate? Because not anybody can just officiate a wedding just like that.
Yeah. So in my head, I always had the cliche, you hear in the movies, he went online and did like celebrant.com and got his like license online. It's kind of like that, but not really. You don't have to take any classes or anything.
At least where we live.
Yeah, where we live. We're here in the province of Quebec. So it's much more like formal and administrative type of work. So his bride had prepared a little package for us that is given when you do your research, and that's the package that they give you, is the guide to be a celebrant. Or an officiant. That's what they give you. So we started going through that, and you being you and being very organized, Ijana went through the whole thing and like pointed out little things that we had to prepare, because we were kind of on a timeline. It was a short deadline that we had to achieve, and the way that it worked, we had to hit certain milestones at certain point, and make sure that certain information was filed with the proper government authorities to make sure that everything was in order. So the first step was for me to get my officiant license and my officiant number, because that's the most important thing that you need. So I went on about doing that. I filled out all the documents. We sent it in. It was a whole ordeal to send it in, make sure the package is tracked, make sure that they get it in time, because when we did the countdown from we didn't have that much play in terms of dates from the actual wedding dates,
Like, we didn't have much room for error.
Yeah, exactly.
Because our government is very strict with like when things.
Yeah, and it was like around the time that there was like postal strikes, so we didn't know if like the package was going to get there, and we wanted to make sure it was going to get there and not get lost somewhere. So we did that. Then they said it was going to take like 3 to 4 weeks. I got it within a week. I got my number. I sent them that like on our group chat. Everybody was super happy that we had that. And then the next step was going to publish their wedding date online to make sure that if anybody had any objections, they could like see it.
Wait, they called you for an interview though?
They did call me for an interview. Yeah,
this was before you got your number.
Yeah. So that's like, again, like in the movies, you think you have to take an exam or take some classes. It's not like that.
Yeah.
They call you and they want to make sure that why you're doing it, the reasons behind it.
So it's authentic.
Yeah. They want to know what your relationship to the bride and groom is. And they also want to know what your background is, what are you doing for a living, like all this kind of information to make sure that you're apt to do this task. It's not at the end of the day, it's just signing documents, but it's you become a representative of the government for that like specific day. So they want to make sure that whoever they're entrusting is trustworthy. So
for sure.
So we did that. And then I got my number, and that was that.
Yeah, so you got your number, then you came to publish the wedding date.
And that, like, when you're reading the documentation, it's a little tricky. They say it has to be 3 months before the wedding date, but only 20 days. So like trying to figure out what that meant. And that just means that you can publish it up to 3 months before the wedding date. And when you publish it, it'll stay active on the website of the government for 20 days. After that, you get a certificate that it was published for the 20 days, and that you put that with your documents that you sent to the government.
So just to backtrack in terms of like the organization of it all, we read this like 27-page.
Yeah, it was big. It was big. Yeah.
All four of us read it.
Yeah, well, we had to try and understand, and like none of us had done this before. Like it was completely a new experience. So,
so we read the 27-page document, and like we all kind of went through and combed like, okay, it seems like we have to do this by this date, and this by this date, and this by this date. So we gathered all that information, and then, because I'm the type A one between you and me, I put it in our project management tool with like the due dates and the tasks that we had to do, and to ensure that we stayed on track with timeline and stuff. And I think that was helpful for me. Obviously, it was helpful because that works for me. But would you say that was key to helping like us make sure we were on track?
100%. And like it was nice to be reminded, like, hey, you need 4 copies of this thing and 2 copies of this thing, and you need to do this before this date. And it's like hard to keep that just in your head floating. So it was nice that it was there, and just, like, we'd get a reminder the week before, like, hey, by next week you have to file this document, so you need this and this to do that. And it's like, okay, perfect. So I got all the documents we needed, and then we were able to do all of that.
And I think, when did you start writing the ceremony? After like all the admin is done, you're ready to write the ceremony. At what point did you start doing that?
I think throughout so they asked me about 5 months before the wedding to do it. Throughout the 5 months, I would, like, whenever I had an idea or like a catchphrase or something that like piqued my attention, like I saw a TikTok talking about like an officiant did this joke, and that's how he linked it to the rest of his speech, or any type of moment, I'm like, oh, I'd like to write about that. So I took down some notes over like a couple of months, and then a month before I was due to perform, I started making my speech. I did my first draft of the speech. It was very bare bones, the first draft. It was like more structuring my ideas down. That took me like 2-3 hours just to sit down, jot down my ideas, figure out the process of what I wanted to do. I also had like some help. I asked ChatGPT to make me like a template of like what goes where when. Because you have an idea, but I've never done a civil wedding before.
Sure.
I've only done religious ones, so I know how that goes. Like,
by heart like the order of like a Christian wedding.
Yeah, because I've been to so many of them.
You've been to so many of them.
Yeah,
I've been to them too. I don't know them by heart. I don't know the order by heart of what you say when.
Yeah, no. So like, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and then I had an idea of how I wanted the thing to flow, and then we had agreed that we wanted it to be between 30 and 40 minutes, not longer and not shorter, because it had to have some depth and value to it, and we want to give it the proper amount of respect that the event is owed. So we did that, and so I did my first draft. Once I was up to my second round of edits, then I called the bride and the groom over to the house. They came, we had dinner together, we spoke, and then I explained to them my, I guess, philosophy behind what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah, it was really cute. They asked you, what were you like? What did you have in mind when you built your speech?
Yeah,
it was really cute that they asked you that.
Yeah, so I tried to explain to them like the story behind this writing exercise, And then we started doing some edits together. So we went through the second edit together, and I wanted to give them free range and edits as many as they wanted, because at the end of the day, this wasn't about me. This was about them. And some people will be like, no, I want to say what I want to say, and I'm like, I thought more of like, okay, no, they're entrusting me to do this thing. I want to make sure that it's up to the vision that they want, and so we went through it. And some of the sentences I had written in Arabic didn't necessarily flow well, because my Arabic is good. It's conversationalist. It's heritage. It's a heritage speaker Arabic. So because I'm not born there, I'm born here, but I learned from my parents and I took a class. So like I know how to speak. I understand very well. I know how to write a bit, but I don't know like literary Arabic, and I don't know also sometimes like the certain words to say a certain thing, how to
Yeah.
what the official word is. I know the Arabic dialect word, but not the official proper verbiage. So I went through it with them.
You also originally were meant to write your speech with a mix of French, English, and Arabic, I believe, right?
Yeah, but then that was starting to get too much, like too
It
many
was too
transitions.
much.
Yeah.
And then they asked you to make it more Arabic and French.
Yeah. And at the beginning, it was going to be more Arabic than French. I think at the beginning, it was going to be like 80-20, the mix.
Right.
But then I felt like it didn't flow, and I started to feel bad for some of the people in the audience who didn't necessarily understand Arabic fully. So by the end, I think it was more like 60-40.
Yeah, because what you ended up doing was you translated. You would say like something in Arabic and then you would like kind of repeat it in French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the big moments. I wanted the
big moments.
Yeah, I had some key moments that I wanted to hit. And it wasn't a verbatim translation. Sometimes there was more liberties in the translation, just because a joke landed better in French than it did in English, or sorry, in Arabic, than it did. So it was more that I was trying to achieve. And so we did the third round together. And then after that, I went back to the drawing board, adjusted some things, took some of their feedback, some things they had added that they wanted removed because they didn't necessarily like the way it flowed, and some things that I hadn't added, and they're like, oh, we think that could be a nice idea. And then some things I gave them homeworks as well. So, there was a portion where the vowels, for example, the vowels were in my first version were just two sentences, and I found that quite unpersonal. And I wanted them to have personal vowels, and they weren't sure if they wanted to do their vowels in front of everybody. But I'm like, we're doing this thing, it's very untraditional, so let's do it in a way that works for everybody. And by the end, they did their vows, and it's beautiful. And yeah,
I think what I love about the whole process that you guys incorporated was the bride and groom gave you creative freedom to write the first draft, and you gave them creative freedom to mold the speech.
It was iterative as a process. Like we kept on refining it, and then the week before the wedding, I did the speech 3 times in front of the groom, because he's one of my close friends. So I went to his house and we had dinner, and we practiced. I did my first round, and then we timed it. It was a bit short, so we added a few section, and then when we redid it, now it was a bit too long, so we chopped a bit of stuff to make it fit around the time we were trying to achieve. And by the end, like when I reviewed the time, we were like on 32 minutes. Like it was perfect.
Yeah, it was a perfect ceremony.
Yeah.
Do you remember a bit of the template that you followed? Like what was kind of like, what did ChatGPT kind of recommend for like the start, the middle, the end?
Yeah. So the start, it was a bit to present myself,
to
present the bride and the groom. And then I took that as, let's tell their story. So we started by telling their story and explaining to them how they met. Then I came back down to love. I wanted to express what love was. Their story is very interesting. They had a lot of moments in their story where it could have failed, and other people may have just stopped along the way, but they kept pursuing it, and they wanted to make their relationship work, so they made it work. So we explained a bit of that, And then we went in on like generic love, what my vision of love that I wanted to express. I took some poem from some Lebanese poets. I took some stories from French poets, and I added that. Then we went into the more official section. So that section was more explaining what the meaning of behind the rings, what they were. Then we had the maid of honor and the best man do a little moment. One said a poem and one read a text from The Alchemist. So that was really beautiful. And then we went into their vows. So they said their vows to each other. And then was the most official part. So when you're doing the celebrant training or when you read the documents, there's one section that you have to read out. That's the most important. That's the thing that has to be recorded and you have to read out. And it's all in French. And it's the articles from the Code Civil du Quebec that's what like defines legally binds this wedding. So we did that. Then we had the signing of the documents. So we signed the official documents. We did before signing, we did the exchanges of the ring. That was when I explained the significance of the ring. And then
who handed them the rings? I don't know.
They were on the
They were
desk.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They were on the little barrel that was in front of me.
Yeah. Okay.
So I gave it. Well, it was. I don't know. Actually, no. I didn't give it to them.
They
the
took
best
it.
man. No, the best man handed it to him.
Okay.
And then they opened the box, and that's how it happened. And then at the end, after we signed the official documents, they did the first kiss. I did the whole thing where I moved out of the frame so they can have the nice picture. And the venue that they chose was beautiful. It was like this winery situation. So there's a lot of greenery behind us. I can't wait to see the picture. I think they're going to be beautiful, the pictures that they got. So it was really nice. And then by the end, there's a lot of directing people, also like telling people to stand up, sit down, where to go, like cue the music. And I was like doing all these transition little pieces. In the meantime, I had them all written down in my text. It was a nice experience. And at the end, I told the people, okay, like, this is how we're going to exit out. They had prepared these flowers that they wanted to throw. The groom wanted me to remind people not to throw the boxes on him.
Which, by the way, I think was really key because I definitely had the urge to throw the box. I'm just saying.
Just as is,
Yeah, because it's like a small box and you finish like throwing the petals and then you're just like, oh, but I shouldn't throw the box.
Yeah.
But you want to because you want to throw more petals. Anyway.
Yeah. So we did that. And then we took the celebration shot together, everybody with the drone. And that was really fun. And then the cocktail happened. It went by so fast.
For sure.
It was like a blip. Like I felt like we had worked up this moment so many times, so many practices that I had done to get ready for the day. And then you get there and there's like a slight hiccup in terms of timing. So I was like pacing at the front, like, okay, how are we doing on time? But like everything was fine. We had like prepared for that 10-15 minute, like not delay, but just like buffer for everybody to come, sit down and be ready. So by the time, but like when you're in the moment, you're like, okay, you kind of forget that you had buffered this time in. So then we started and then I'm like, okay. And then I got into the zone. The first maybe like a minute or two, I was like, okay. I'm like looking down on my text too much and I'm like telling myself that in my head. I'm like, okay, stop looking at your text. You know it. Like just go through the motion and explain. You know this. Like you've practiced it. You know it. And then I started doing the thing where you raise your head. Like you read the sentence, you kind of remember the end of the sentence or you look up, you read the rest of the sentence off without looking. And I felt that it was more natural. And then when like a minute, 2, 3, 4, I was like, okay, I'm getting comfortable. Like I got this. And then it was the time where I had like some jokes laid in my text. So then I delivered my jokes. People laughed. I'm like, okay, I hit my mark. On to the next thing. And then I was like very, very smooth from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 3 minutes where we were standing up, did you build into your speech to tell us to sit down, or did you realize that we were standing?
No, it was built in. It was like
built in.
It was like tell people to sit down, and I did the whole like this.
For a second, me and your best friend, we were sitting next to each other, so we were like whispering, like, "Oh no, we didn't rehearse this part where he tells everybody to sit."
Yeah.
So we were both like, maybe we're standing the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was just like a funny moment where we were fully ready to stand there the whole time, stand up. If you hadn't told us to sit down, we would have been perfect to stand up the whole time. But it was just crazy how much you have to rehearse this sort of thing. You have to build
Yeah,
those
you have to
things
go through the
in.
motion. I mean, like, so I was speaking to another friend who did this, and he's like, "Oh, I just like prepared it the week before and just like off the cuffed it, and like halfway through, he just went off on a tangent, and then somehow found his way back." And that's one of the things that the bride and the groom told me. Like, they're like, if you at any point like get lost, like, don't stop and like make a stink out of it. Just like keep saying what you're saying, go off on a tangent, like you can figure it out and find your way back into your speech. Or like if you mess up, like one of the words I said in Arabic, and instead of saying to witness, I said to beg. That's the translation, but it's one H difference in the middle of the word. And as we were practicing multiple times, I made that mistake, and they were like almost betting on if I was going to make that mistake. And I kind of made it on purpose, but not really. And like I hint, nudge, nudge, like made a joke out of it, and everybody laughed, and it was like a great moment to like just take off the tension and just like have everybody be this is gonna be a great moment. Like, let's enjoy this. And a lot of people after the ceremony came up to me and were like, "Wow, that was great. You did such a good job, and your Arabic was really good. Why were you stressing?" And it was very like gratifying as a moment. I felt very like I felt good, and I felt like I did justice to this occasion. Like I rose up to the moment.
You did.
But for them, like I wasn't doing this for me.
Yeah.
But in a sense, like if I didn't do well, I felt like it was an impact on them. But if I did good, then it was great for them, like not for me, just for them. So that's why I wanted to do it for them. Like I wanted to give them the best experience possible with everything that we had to do.
I mean, you did an amazing job. You really did. Like, it's not an easy task. And you took this task and you ran with it and you took it super seriously.
Yeah.
And you did your due diligence and you crafted your text and you really poured your heart into it. And it showed on the day. It really did. And everybody was proud of you.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to deliver a text in a language that is not necessarily your first language. Is that your second language?
Well, I don't know if it's technically, like, it's one of the first languages I spoke. So technically, by that standard, it's my first language.
Yeah.
But realistically, when I'm thinking, I don't think in Arabic.
Wait,
I think in French. I think in English. Depends who I'm talking to also. But it's never my first instinct to think in Arabic. So so I have to sometimes translate it to myself. But because I speak it and I understand it, it's more natural. But my spoken and my my spoken actually is 90%, of like I'm not a native speaker. I'm what we call a heritage speaker. It's people who they weren't born in the country. They learned it afterwards in another country. They learned it by hearing it, by interacting around it, by having your parents teach it to you, and you being in the community and always hearing it, being exposed to it.
Yeah. Looking back, do you think you would have liked to have practiced it more, or you practiced it just like the perfect amount of time?
I think you can always practice more. I didn't want it to be so like rigid and like,
Yeah.
And even if I had practiced like maybe 10 more times, I don't think I could have done the whole speech without any text or any paper. My speech was like 15 pages long by the end of it. It's not nothing.
Yeah. No, you could. I don't think you would have.
And I didn't want to forget anything that I'd prepared. So it just helped me hit those cues. And there was a lot of like, at the beginning, we were going to just do bullet point. But then I felt like every time I practice it, it would be a different way or a different sentence structure. And I wanted to make sure that it was perfect.
Yeah.
So I wrote the whole thing down. And then as I was practicing, you could like, on my final version, there was a lot of like hand scribbled notes. Like I'd put some lines where it was like a run-on sentence. The sentence was too long, but I didn't know how to like make it better, so I'd put spaces in the middle or like lines to make me, hit those marks and just like space myself out. So it was more natural as a way to speak.
What was your favorite line?
What was my favorite line? I think it was the line about the rings. I said something like, the rings are an infinite round. They're round. They have no beginning, no ending. And that's how your love should be. It's just like a infinity. And I found that like it was very deep in the moment. I was like, wow, this is good. This is like...
You did an amazing job. You really did. Even the poem, the text and the poem that the maid of honor and best man read or said were so touching.
The best man crushed it. Like, thank God it was like towards the end of the ceremony. And halfway, like his Arabic is like flawless. Like he's born there. He speaks and he knows, he's like well read, he's like very into literature. He reads a lot. And those poems, like he had memorized them by heart.
Yeah.
Because he knew them. Like it wasn't something like he just said 3 days before, he was like, oh yeah, okay, I figured out what I'm going to say. And it was like off memory. It wasn't like, he had like chosen which ones, like, he knew these poems and he's one of those guys. So when he read them, I'm like, wow. Like, and you felt the room just go, wow, like we went up a level, here.
Because he said he didn't read them. That's why it was so impactful.
It was like
was like from the heart, but off the cuff, but like memorized all at the same time.
Yeah, and like,
it made it for a really special moment in the ceremony for sure.
And then he finished. So he did 3 poems of 3 famous Arabic people, and then he finished by one of his own creations. Actually, no, he had a ChatGPT one, and then he finished with his own one. He said, "This is what ChatGPT said, but really, this is what I think." And it was fantastic. He said, "If there's one last piece of fry on the table, being in love is giving it to her without being happy to give it to her, because giving it to her is what makes you happy." And I was like, whoa. Like, dude, drop bars.
And for you, that was I think that was extra.
Because I didn't, and that's the thing, I didn't know what they were saying. I knew that I gave them 2 minutes, but the way things lined up, because we did that change so last minute, I didn't have a first read. I didn't know what they were going to say.
What they were going to say.
I just knew that they both had prepared something. The groom and the bride had cleared it. So I was like, okay, I'm fine by me. Like, I don't need to know. Like, I actually wanted to experience something for the first time during the ceremony. That was one of the things, because I had rehearsed it so much. Like I was experiencing. I wasn't experiencing. I was performing it.
Yeah.
And those 2 moments, and when they did their vows, I was like a spectator.
Yeah.
I was like everybody in the audience. I was just living it, and that was an amazing moment. It was so nice.
For sure. How was it balancing being an officiant and being a groomsman? Do you feel like it was difficult to balance, or it was definitely manageable?
It was very involved, which I liked. I was like consulted about all kinds of decision about the day, how we were going to do this, how we were going to like do the entrances. And because also I was a groomsman, and it was all these like, okay, what do we do with this? And like I had a say as well in all those, or I had my input or suggestions. So it was really nice. I felt like in the action, and it's very different being part of the bridal party, being involved in the day in that day versus just being a guest.
Yeah.
Like my day started at 9.
My day started at 8:30 when I drove you.
Yes, well, fine.
But what I was gonna say with that is, it's true, because I watched you be in it, and I watched myself be as a guest.
Yeah, it's completely different.
It's totally different.
You have all these like things that you do beforehand. You have to prepare for the day. So like there's a lot of things that were happening. So
yeah. But overall, you like being involved. So it like
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
fed your personality.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the conversation around what you guys were going to wear? Did you guys have a conversation about you wearing something a little bit different because not only were you a groomsman, but you were also the officiant? Or like, how did that kind of go?
We went about it as it was a normal conversation. We were like, okay, what do we think? Like, do we want to do something different or not? At the beginning, we were thinking we did, but then it felt out of place to just like change. And then I would have to change there. And because we were taking the pictures before, like as a group, the whole bridal party, I just didn't feel like doing that. And I didn't see any value in being dressed differently than I was. I felt like I was dressed well for the day because we had these beautiful tuxes that we had rented. So I was like, what's the point? And he agreed, and everybody agreed. So that's what we did.
So you wore like what the groomsmen wore, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Called it a day. Okay, perfect. Oh, I mean, what were you feeling right before the speech and then before the ceremony and then after the ceremony?
Before, I felt like excitement, apprehension. I wasn't nervous, but I was like, okay, we're running a bit behind schedule in my head, but we weren't. But I felt like we were. So I was like, okay, so now what? Like, what do I do? What's next? Like, how do I prepare for this? And then the moment happened, flew by. Like, it was like a dream, you know? And then at the end, I was just like relieved.
Yeah.
I was like, it's done. I did what I had to do. I did, I came, did what I had to do. It went well, everything was like without a hiccup. So it was like, oof, perfect. Like a pressure was relieved. And then after that, I also felt like a lot of happiness and a lot of like I said, I felt valued. I felt like appreciated. People came up to me and they're like, wow, this was so nice. Some people jokingly said, oh, like if you want, you can do my wedding, And I was like, oh,
guys, you got so many requests for weddings after this. It's like crazy.
Yeah. They're like, some person came to ask me like, oh, is this what you do? Like, I'm like, no. I'm an accountant.
But you can't legally do. Can you do it as a job?
You can do it as a job. You just have to be kind of like notarized to do it.
Okay.
It's like there's different levels. You have to be a BCA, which is like part of the court system.
Okay.
You can do more than one. When you're a designated officiant, which is what I was, you can do 3. And then if you want to do more than that, you have to ask special permission and you have to ask a request. But if you that could be your job. A lot of people have that as a job. A lot of people also that do that come from a religious background. So they can do religious weddings, but some of them will also do non-religious civil weddings. So when we went to visit one of the venues, I had met a father who was a priest. And he said he does non-religious weddings as well at that venue for them because he has registered, so he could do that. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, we really enjoyed calling you Father Antoine for a good 5 months.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed being the role of the wife of the priest on the day.
It also shook some people. I think like I had a family friend who like had heard that I was doing that and he was going to be there. And his parents were like absolutely shocked. Like did not understand how that was even possible, legal. Like how do you do this? Like...
Because when you're used to seeing people getting married only at church, you don't realize that people can also get married civil. There's so many ways to get married.
Exactly.
But it was cool to also watch you like say this experience to other people.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't wait to see what it looked like. I'm not somebody who likes to hear my own voice, but I want to see how, because the cameras were so up close.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see like
how it turned out.
Yeah. Did it turn out like how I envisioned it turning out, or did it turn out completely different, or
I'm sure it's gonna meet your expectations. You felt relieved after your speech, but me, all your friends, and all your family, we felt proud.
Yeah,
we felt
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, my parents were there too because my parents are close to the groom. So it was really nice. My mom was like, when I first told her, she was like, really, you could do that? Like that like intrigue. She was like, wow, like what's the process? Like, she was super curious about it. And then the more I think that she started to think about it, she was like, oh my God, my son's going to do this?
Yeah.
And she was like super excited. And like you could see, and like that moment happened. And she was like that typical lady with like her phone out, like filming the moment. She was proud.
Mouthing the words back.
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. She was like,
Yeah.
she was
Really a proud mom.
yeah, she was like, yeah, she was enjoying it, I think.
We
She's
all
like, that's
were.
my son.
Yeah. And I think
know?
people came up to her after too
Yes,
to
yeah.
congratulate her on how
Yeah.
well you did.
Yeah. She felt proud because, you know, a lot of people in our community don't necessarily speak. And a lot of them were like, wow, it's surprising. Like, you sound like a native. And she's like, no, like I taught him at the house and whatever. And that was like, I think it was validating to her. She's
For
like, all my
sure.
hard work is like, yeah.
Paid off for this very
Yeah,
moment right
exactly.
here. He gets to marry his friends.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it so much.
Exactly.
The wedding is over. We had a blast. We danced the night away.
Yes.
You take all the papers.
Yes.
Next day,
I'm
what
like,
do you do?
Yeah. So next day you have to file them and prepare them. And it's those carbon copy papers.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're in the heat of the moment. So like I made them sign everything. I'd prepared like those little sticky notes that tell people where to sign. So I'd made sure everybody signed at the right place. But it's carbon copy. And I'm like splitting up the papers. There's 4 copies. Everybody's getting a copy. And then the last copy, I lift it and like the carbon didn't
Transfer.
transfer. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now? And luckily, so I'm looking at which signature didn't transfer, and it's the signature of the bride. The groom's signature is there, but it's faint.
Mm-hmm.
The bride's signature is just like too faint because she didn't like press hard enough. And it was like on the 4th copy, and the 4th copy goes to a different place.
Okay.
So there's like 2 copies go to one place, and 1 copy stays with the bride and the groom,
Mm-hmm.
and then 1 copy goes to another like stat can. So that's the copy that was going there. That wasn't. So I was like, So I called them, and luckily they weren't going because they had family over in town for the week. They weren't going that week on their honeymoon. They're going later on, in the season. So I called them. I went over the next day. And I had them sign, and then we had like a little debrief session.
Yeah.
And they asked me all these questions, and they were like trying to like go through the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really nice. It was like a moment to just like go through it, and like you could see that they were happy, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did they have a favorite moment of the speech of your ceremony?
Yes, I think they said that they liked the moment where they did their vows. They really enjoyed that, but they also really enjoyed like the signing. They felt like it was legit. I think that's what I could sense.
That's what marries you in a way.
Yeah, because like even in my text I say like, okay, now this part is like the part that officially declares you
Husband and wife.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice.
Beautiful. I want to ask you a rapid fire questions.
Sure.
So 1 at a time.
Mhm.
You're going to answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What was more emotional, writing the ceremony or delivering it?
Delivering it. Writing it was like more in the zone. Delivering it was like, oof, okay. Like this has weight to it. Yeah.
What's one line from your script you're secretly proud of? I know you mentioned one, but is there another one?
I made a joke at the beginning where I say that because I met the bride through work. So I said that the bride helped me make money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met the groom like going out and partying. And I said that the groom helped me spend that money.
Yeah.
I was like, and the way I formulated those sentences was like, they rung the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It felt really nice.
That was a really good line.
Yeah.
If you could go back and change one thing, what would it be?
I don't know that I would, honestly. I don't think, I think the way it happened is the way it was meant to happen. You know, I don't think I'd change anything, honestly. I wouldn't want to. I think I'm happy with the final result, and I'll take it like that.
I agree. Do you think we'd ever write our own vows?
Definitely. Yeah.
I think this made you want us to write our own vows.
Yes. It felt in the moment she was reading the vows and she's saying all these things to him, and I'm like, wow, like, yes. It's a bit.
And they said their vows off the cuff. Well, not off the cuff. Maybe they learned them by heart, but they weren't reading anything.
Yeah.
I am gonna need to read something. I think I'm gonna be too nervous.
No. She had. They both had the like little papers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just like hidden, but they had the little papers to go off of. I saw this trend where they do these like journaling books, and they give like the same ones, and then they use them to like in their wedding album. They put them there, like they take the paper and it's
Okay.
part of the wedding album. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Um, it's I don't think it's super traditional in like Christian weddings, like
To do
church
your
weddings,
vows.
to do the vows. I think you say, but you follow what the priest says, and you like say back. I don't know. I felt more like personalized. It felt more like their wedding than just like a cookie cutter, wedding. So it was nice.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, good.
What was the first thing the couple said to you after the ceremony?
They were like, okay, now we party.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
ready to party.
Yeah, that's why he came out. He's like, okay, perfect, let's go.
Did any guests say anything to you that stuck with you?
Yeah, the thing that I said is like I was with my parents, and they came up, and like they weren't sure that I was like born here or there in Lebanon. They were like, wow, like, and they said that to my parents, like, you guys did a great job. And I was like, oof, proud little moment.
Yeah.
He's like, and my parents were proud. They were like, yes, heck yeah.
As they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What advice would you give to someone who's about to officiate for their friend?
yeah, take the time to think about your relationship with these people, and them. At the end of the day, this day is about them. It's not about you. You may feel like you're in the spotlight because you're actually in the middle. So it feels like all the attention's on you, but it's not your day. It's their day. So take the time to make sure that your speech and your presentation is about them, reflects their story, it reflects their values. Even some of the changes that we did is very representative of who they are as a person. Like the way, they're shy in certain places, they're very like open in certain places. So if I felt like that speech represented them very well.
It
And
did.
by the end, they were like happy with the results. I was like, okay, perfect. So yeah.
Would you rather officiate barefoot on a beach or in a full tux at a formal wedding?
No, formal, like full tux.
Yeah.
I think it gives like gravitas to the moment and gives it its proper value. And again, I think it's because I come from the background like of the religious wedding. So I think it's like a sacred thing. It's a very important thing. It's not because it's a civil wedding that it should be any less, valuable and representative of what the actual being married moment is. It doesn't matter what you say or where you say it, but it has a value. And I think by being dressed appropriately, you show its value. Doesn't mean that you're being barefoot on the beach doesn't deliver the same effect. It does, because at the end of the day, words are words.
True.
But in my opinion, if you had to do it right.
You like to do it
Formally, yeah. Even the wedding we did in the Bahamas, like we were fully suited up.
True.
So
yeah, and it was on the beach.
And it was on the beach
on.
with shoes on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an important moment. You come up and you do it right.
I love it. Honey, thank you so much for joining me on
My
Wedding
pleasure.
Wednesday and sharing your experience as an officiant and a groomsman.
Yeah, that was really fun. Thanks for having me. It was nice to look back on this moment and do some more gabbing because, God knows I like to talk. So
If you guys have any questions for Antoine, feel free to leave them in the comment box below.
yeah.
If you have any crazy wedding horror stories to share with us, feel free to email it at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. Please subscribe, rate, review, comment, do all the things because it really does help our podcast grow. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.